Hi everyone, and welcome back to my kitchen. Today I have the best fall cheesecake recipe for you guys, and I'll be making my maple pecan pie cheesecake. This recipe is just out of this world delicious. Every single bite of this cheesecake is bursting with so much incredible pecan pie flavor. It's inspired by my maple pecan pie recipe. If you haven't tried that before, I'll include the link down the video description box below. We're going to add some pecans directly into the graham cracker crust, add in tons of pecans into the cheesecake batter and sweeten it with some brown sugar, maple syrup, make a caramel pecan topping, and serve the cheesecake with some maple whipped cream on the side. You guys are going to love this incredible cheesecake for fall and Thanksgiving. Let's get started. I'm going to show you how to make this incredible dessert. First things first, you want to get your oven preheated. I'm preheating mine to 300 degrees Fahrenheit, and now I'm going to get started on the crust. So I'm going to do a graham cracker pecan crust, and it's so incredibly delicious. We're going to need 9 graham crackers. There's just one package of these. Drop them into a food processor, along with half a cup of pecans. I'll close my food processor and then pulse this until fine crumbs form. Next, I'll pour in a 1/3 cup of melted unsalted butter. You can actually use salted here too. Pour that in. And then pulse this until the crumbs are well coated. And for today's recipe, I'm going to be using a 9-inch springform pan. I'm also going to be using a water bath for baking this cheesecake. So I've already wrapped the outside of the pan with 2 sheets of this extra wide foil. This way I don't have any seams and the water isn't going to seep into the pan and ruin the cheesecake. Now let's get this crumble mixture transferred into the pan. And then I like to use a potato masher to press the crumbs evenly into the bottom of the pan to form a really firm and even crust. I've set aside my prepared crust, and now we could get started on the cheesecake batter. So today I'm going to be using 4 8-ounce packages. It's 32 ounces total of cream cheese, and I've softened this cream cheese at room temperature. I have my flat beater attached on my stand mixer. I'm going to mix the cream cheese for a good 8 to 10 minutes, scraping down the sides of that mixing bowl pretty often until that cream cheese is really creamy and smooth. All right, let's get this started. And stopping to scrape down the mixing bowl and the beater is key to getting a really smooth and clump-free batter. Once my cream cheese is nice and smooth, I'm going to add in my next ingredients. I have 1 cup of sour cream. I'm going to drop that in. It'll give that cheesecake its classic tangy flavor. We'll need half a cup of pure maple syrup and 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract. And I'll give this a mix for just a few minutes. I'll scrape down the mixing bowl halfway through until the mixture is smooth. And next up, we have half a cup of light brown sugar. And this is going to give the cheesecake a little bit more of that caramelized flavor. And I'm going to add in 2 tablespoons of all-purpose flour. And this is going to help thicken the cheesecake batter just a little bit because that maple syrup does add more liquid to the recipe. And the flour is just going to help thicken it up. And last, we have 4 large eggs. I'm going to drop those in, mix for about a minute. I'll stop, scrape down the sides, and then give it another mix for a minute. And my last ingredient, the diced pecans. I have 1 cup of nuts today. I'm going to drop them into the cheesecake batter, grab my spatula, and fold those in. And I'll pour this cheesecake batter over the prepared crust. This looks so incredible. I'm loving all the diced pecans here. Next, I'm going to prepare the water bath. So I've placed the cheesecake onto a large baking sheet. I'm going to fill this baking sheet with water. You can also do this with the pan already on the oven rack. It'll be a little bit easier to transfer it. And the water bath is going to add extra moisture into the oven, which helps keep the cheesecake nice and level, and it'll help prevent any cracks from forming. Now this is ready for the oven. It's going to bake at 300 degrees Fahrenheit for 2 hours. Once it's done baking, I turn off the oven and then I prop the oven door open with a little spoon and just let the cheesecake cool really nice and slow for a couple hours. And then it's into the refrigerator, and the cake needs to chill overnight, or at least for 6 to 8 hours. And then we'll come back to add the caramel pecan topping and the whipped cream. And I have a second cheesecake that is already all set in the refrigerator. Let's remove the spring form. Doesn't that look gorgeous? Now to transfer the cheesecake, I'm going to grab a flat spatula, slide it all the way underneath the crust. So make sure that the cheesecake isn't stuck anywhere. It's already moving around. We're going to come over to our cake stand and just slide it right off. And this wooden cake stand looks so perfect for fall. For the caramel pecan topping, I made a batch of my homemade caramel sauce. This stuff is amazing. It comes together in like 5 to 7 minutes. Super, super easy to make, and it's perfect as a topping for this cheesecake. I have a separate video recipe for this caramel sauce. I'll include it down in the video description box below. I mean, this is so gorgeous, so incredibly delicious. Once you have the sauce ready, you could place it into the refrigerator to chill, or you can make a batch of it the night before and just let it chill at room temperature, covered with some plastic wrap. And that's exactly what I did. I've measured out about 1.5 cups of pecan halves, and I'm going to pour in my caramel sauce. I'm going to add about 1 cup, and just make sure that the pecans are really well coated. And then we'll transfer this mixture, place it right on top of the cheesecake. Just use a spatula, kind of spread it evenly. This is going to be so good with the cheesecake. You guys are going to love the crunchy pecans coated in the caramel with that creamy cheesecake. It's going to be incredible. And I always like to serve my cheesecakes with some whipped cream on the side. Today I've measured out 1.5 cups of chilled heavy cream. I'm going to pour in 1/3 cup of maple syrup. You can also use confectioner's sugar for this recipe. And then I'll grab my mixer and mix this for about 5 minutes until stiff peaks form. And now for the best part, let's get a slice of this cheesecake. Going to grab a sharp knife, cut through all that pecan topping. All right. Check this out. Isn't that one gorgeous maple pecan pie cheesecake? I love the topping, and then you get bits of the pecans in the cheesecake itself. And I can't wait to try that pecan and graham cracker crust. It's going to be amazing. And a must for me with any cheesecake is a nice dollop of whipped cream on the side. This is going to be fantastic. And that's it for my maple pecan pie cheesecake. I could totally imagine this on my Thanksgiving table. It is so perfect for fall and Thanksgiving. For the full recipe and more instructions and details, make sure to head on down the video description box. I'm going to leave a link there that'll take you over to my website where you can find all the details, and you can also find this recipe in metric measurements. And now time to dig in and enjoy. This looks so good. Having a little pile of whipped cream on the side is a must. Oh, this caramel topping looks so, so good. All right, let's get some of the crust, some of the whipped cream. This is gonna be a heavenly bite. You could just leave me here with the rest of this cheesecake. It's so good. Oh my goodness, you guys are gonna be blown away with the flavors. I am loving all the bits of the crunchy pecans, the maple syrup flavor, this caramel sauce on top, having a little bit of whipped cream. I mean, this right here is what I'm talking about. You guys absolutely have to try this cheesecake for the fall and Thanksgiving season. It is so incredibly delicious, packed with flavor. I love using maple syrup for baking. It adds incredible flavor, and you have tons of pecans. Having that whipped cream on the side just completes everything. Don't forget to head on down the video description box for the recipe link. You guys are going to love this cake for the holiday season. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time with a new recipe.